through you for a minute. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we? Look at this. I love this end. I prefer this end. Maddie prefers that end. I much prefer this end. Good morning, Trina Cotton, Laurel Nichols, Minky Moo. We did say we weren't going to do a coffee moaning, but I thought I'd squeeze one in because we are not available later today. So I thought, yes, hang on, we can't leave you without. So I thought I'd quickly tune in. It's also an incredibly slow news day. I mean, there's nothing other than Nicola Sturgeon's hubby having what looks like a forensics tent popped in front of his house. They even investigated his barbecue. Apparently she was seen, I think, doing a driving lesson, sort of. Anyway, he's been released without charge. That doesn't mean anything's not going to happen, but yeah, weird. So that's a big story. Lots of people trying to, what's the word when you, body language and face language experts trying to read what was really going on in Donald Trump's face. I did watch, I didn't get happy birthday, Trina Cotton. Let me go and get a pen. Trina. Gives you all a chance to sip your tea and drink your coffee. Who's drinking a coffee? Who's drinking a tea? I'm going to ask you. That's my first poll of the day. What are you drinking? Coffee, tea, or what I used to drink? Trina Cotton, it's your birthday, of course. So lots of people trying to read the body language, face language of Trump, but there was one detail. That was curious, there was just a camera as he walked, I think through a door into a corridor going into court. And it's the first time someone said that a door was allowed to swing in towards him and no one else opened a door for him. That must have been a bit of a moment. Let's have a look. We have tea and ginger nuts. Sue Wood, it's your birthday too. Okay, Sue, coming to you at the end. I'll try to remember. You know what we're like. We can be a little bit shit with that sometimes. Drinking a cup of tea and just relaxing. Cup of coffee. Hi, Wonder Woman. Denise Drummond Mulvaney. Christos, bless you, Squire. I will be. I want to drop a long correspondence. So happy birthday, Anita Burke. Wow, this is. People were busy, weren't they, 9 months ago? Happy birthday. Is it Anita Burke's birthday, or are you singing happy birthday to someone else? I'm on the green tea creatorholic. That's incredibly sort of responsible. Are you feeling sort of prim and proper? A little bit sort of, well-being smug. Hi, Clodagh. April is a busy month. April, as T.S. Eliot said, is the cruelest month. An Americano, Corshie's Adventures. Fun food and adventure. Coffee now, have popped into the gym. My mind needs it this morning. Ellie Denning, good, well, so they say, good to exercise. I think on an empty stomach and a coffee. Oh, look, the majority of you are drinking coffee. Let's see if anyone has said vodka. Oh, okay. So 10 of you are drinking vodka. That's quite something. I don't know if I believe you. My birthday is today too. Louise Bowers, bloody hell. Louise Bowers. Okay, well, we'll be singing, or saying happy. And Nadia's much better at the singing. Having a wee energy drink for a change. Jordan G, are you in the UK? That's early. That's early for an energy drink. Could be nighttime where they are. That's true. That's very true, Katie. Vodka on my cornflakes, Katie K. I don't think I've ever went there. Tracy Street, suffering with gallstones. They're painful, aren't they, gallstones? I remember working with an editor, and he brought in, is it a kidney stone? He brought in a stone from some organ in a Tupperware pot and showed it to me. I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. We proceeded to rattle it around in the Tupperware. It's quite something, though, isn't it? I mean, they come through quite big. Is there an Anna's birthday as well? Did I just see Anna? Me too, Anna Charalumbus. We love that surname, Anna Chara. Oh, bloody hell! So, what star sign are you all in today? What are we? Taurus? We were talking about star signs last night. Oh, fabulosity. Danielle Blake Smith, you've just turned 46. Aries. We were talking last night and I realised I don't think I've ever known a Pisces. And everyone was saying Pisceans. Is that what you call them? Are lovely. Are lovely. Samantha Sayer, welcome. Usually I'm accompanied by Miss Sawalha, but she's obviously not here today. She's loosing. This must be a record for birthdays. Absolutely. Sinead O'Regan, hello. Virgo, Nicola Lee, you're Virgo. Sad-G hairy ass. Who's Cautious Adventures, you're Piscean. So unique. Reese Roberts. I heard only great things about you last night. The camera looks wider today. Does it? I just don't know whether that's just the optical illusion of the space. Or maybe my head's just tinier. I don't know. Or maybe, trying to cram mine and Nadia's enormous heads into one shot is difficult. We've got massive heads. Nadia's got a square head. I've got an egg head. Jen's Market, you're a Pisces too. I'm a Taurus, I'm a bull in the China shop. Emma does live. My mum is a Pisces, Fiona. Well, there we go. This is a broad church. We just look after and we include all star signs. Me and Nadia are Scorpions, both with Scorpio rising, which means we spend a lot of time stinging each other and stinging ourselves with our tails. Just gonna have a sip of the old coffee. That's a fighter jet going overhead. So as I say, not a lot. Okay, so the majority of you are drinking coffee. A few of you are drinking vodka. I kind of hope that's because you're in a different time zone. I'm now going to ask you another question. I'm going to lead with questions. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to lead with questions. I'm going to ask, do you think the... You'll see it in a minute, guys. So this is about the emergency message that we're all going to get in the UK. Date and time has been set for the UK's first nationwide test of emergency alert system. Now, as soon as I heard this, the test is going to coincide with the London Marathon. That's somewhat annoying, isn't it, as you're running? As you're running and suddenly you get a massive text on your, I don't know, your Fitbit or your phone. Date and time has been set. The test will coincide with the London Marathon and several Premier League games. I wonder if a football match is going to be an almighty ping. It would be funny if the entire country makes a huge pinging sound when they send this, that it's heard in Paris. Do you know what I mean? Anna Charolumbus, did you enjoy your cocktail? It was an alcohol-free cocktail and it was sensational. It was at the end of filming. It was sensational. So what do you think of this, guys? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I got slightly panicked, did you, as to why this had to happen at all? Anne Murray, I had that tested on my phone last year. It's like a siren. Wow. It's one more thing to give people mental health issues. It makes me furious. Oh, Chi-Chi, just stroking her face. Makes me a little apprehensive about what the government knows, Sheeda Roberts. I don't know about anyone else. I keep looking in the sky at night from the front of our house, and there's an enormous white... Normally, it should be a star. There's no way on Earth Venus is that big. Has anyone else seen it? It's like an enormous white thing, and it's not moving. It's just there, but it's bigger than anything I've ever seen in the sky other than the moon. Imagine all the older people who will have no idea what it is. Well, imagine, I presume, yeah, I think some people from World War II are still alive. I mean, it's interesting that we're getting to that point where maybe they won't. Yeah, it may be reminiscent of World War II. But then again, lots of old people don't necessarily have phones. I mean, I wonder if they're going to get the alert through to the old phones. Like, Mum, if Nanny Di, if you're watching, I wonder if your phone will be able to cope with an alert. I wonder if there's a system for it. Karen Davis, yes, but an emergency for what? Well, I started to think, are the Russians coming? Then I started to think, what kind of a disease would be moving or virus would be moving so fast that you needed to give an alert, an alert of now. Then they haven't really told us what you're supposed to do. Okay, this is a test. But if there wasn't a test and it came through, exactly, Ellen, what are we supposed, what is it asking us to do? It doesn't come, this date doesn't come with a kind of call to action, does it? It's like, we're just going to do a loud sound and that's it. So the date and time is the Sunday the 23rd of April, not long, at 3 p.m. Messages will pop up on mobile phones across the country, along with a sound and vibration that will last 10 seconds. People will just need to tap OK or swipe away like any other with no further action required. But what's the point if we don't know what we're supposed to do? I mean, presumably, is it a test of the technology? Christine, the US have had it for years, not necessarily linked to a disaster. But there must be a thought behind it. What about if your phone's off? Someone's just said it will be St. George's Day, says Faith Goodman. Well, connected. People will just get, the alert will make a sound. The government said it would be used in life-threatening emergencies, including weather events like wildfires and flooding. It's curious, isn't it? I mean, we've had flooding and all these sorts of things. No, 23rd of April. You're split down the middle. The majority of you think it's a good thing. You know, it reminds me of that film Airplane when they say adopt crash positions and everyone kind of goes like that. It's like, you know, emergency. But what do we do? Where do we go? Joanne Roby, rubbish, there's more to it. How many of you think there's more to it? Erin Bullenwood, we get closer to Venus as our irregular orbits coincide. Oh, we'll be closest to Venus in August. Is that what it is? It's massive. It's massive. Good Chip Lollipop, we're going to run around like chicken licking. Yeah, the sky's going to fall. Anyway, I just think for certain people, for kids, what about for kids? They're going to go, what the hell's going on? Sorry, I think I must have had an emergency call there. Sorry, it went a bit nuts. Faith Goodman, like if we would have something like a tsunami here, which we won't. Well, there is the possibility of a tsunami if the great big rock hanging off Lanzarote, isn't it, falls into the sea. Then apparently London will be taken out, Devon and Cornwall. But, you know, what can we do about those things? Is this the point we find that we have nowhere to shelter in the event of a nuclear attack? Yeah, it's kind of like, here's your alert. We're going to do this if there's a massive problem, but there's nothing else we can do. Christine, when I was in the US just after COVID, we were in a bar and everyone's phones started going mental. A new COVID outbreak. The panic was horrible. What if the secret services of other countries, you know, malevolent countries, rogue states, now we've given the time and date. What if that's the moment someone tries to do something and we've all been told it's a fake alert and then actually something's happening? See, I've thought about this. I never understand why I suppose you have to give the date and time, otherwise everyone will, well, I don't know. If you don't know, it's, well, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. Do they want us to dig a shelter in the garden? Just dig up your carrots. Linda Tyler, doubt they will let us know what the emergency is. I think certain emergencies, so a bit like the COVID app. Yeah, maybe this is a sort of national test for something that will only be of regional use. Sheila Patterson Art, life is becoming like an episode of Black Mirror. True dat. Okay, this other story we didn't really touch upon, but we did when there was the possibility of it being the case. Very upset, Julia Wendell, struggling to understand results of DNA test, which shows she's not Madeleine McCann. Now, bless her, I think this girl has been, what do you think of this story? I think this girl has been incredibly manipulated. I think this is a very sad thing, both for the girl, but also for Madeleine McCann's family. She went over to America. Her dad is in Poland. She's apparently having difficulties accepting that the results of the test prove that she is 100% not Madeleine. Now, I don't know if you know, there's been this sort of odd sort of psychic, is it a psychic detective, I think they call her, Julia Wendell, who seems to have been sort of looking after this girl and sort of shepherding her through all of this. Yeah, she's got power of attorney over the 21-year-old girl, woman. claiming that she was abused by a male, who was jailed for his crimes, which made it difficult. What do people think? I just think this story is bizarre. I mean, she's obviously had a tough life, as someone just said there. But I can't help but feel she's been manipulated, the story's been manipulated. And I just think, however microscopic, because I'm sure the McCanns must get all sorts of cranky kind of approaches and phone calls and claims. I mean, there was talk of them actually saying, okay, let's do the DNA test. So that must have just flagged up a touch of hope. Ellen, I was hoping it was her. Don't know the whole story, though. It's just incredibly odd. It's incredibly odd. What has it said? So, yeah, but this psychic seems to be responsible for her. Our thoughts and prayers are always with the McCann family and a safe return of their precious daughter, says this psychic. They appeared on top US talk shows, reiterating their claim. Doesn't this just feel like this was some kind of cynical publicity stunt, utilizing a vulnerable young woman? Do you think that's what this is? It's just really odd. And in a weird way, the fact that her DNA doesn't match has been really shoved down the news schedule. So sad for the girl, but horrendous for the McCanns, absolutely. Russ Ouch, it should never have got into the media. I feel sorry for her and the McCann. I agree, Russ. Feel she was made to believe she was Madeleine Cloder. Yeah, taken in a sense, she's been groomed. And I find the psychic detective is strange. Ellery Jones, she will need help after all this. Why ask her on so many TV chat shows what the hell is wrong with these people? I mean, what would be the purpose of the press? I mean, unless they've been paid by the chat shows. Sarah Clift, I hope the woman doesn't drop her now. Interesting. But yes, it does feel like she's been totally used, doesn't it? Absolutely. So that's the story of the young lady who was, claiming that if she got a DNA test, she would prove she was the daughter of the McCanns. Hasn't happened. Now, calories on menus. How do you feel about calories on menus? Do you think, okay, this is, well, the peg for this. Do you think calories stated on menus is bad for eating disorders? I like asking you lots of questions, guys. I like asking you a question and then leading with the question and then getting to the story. Do you think calories, so this is the thing, Wagamama's does it, I think McDonald's does do it. Lots of companies now, almost all companies, although independent sort of like, I don't know, Indian takeaways and kebab shops and all that kind of stuff don't, obviously. But lots of places put on their menus the amount of calories a dish contains. And sometimes it's absolutely petrifying. I think the chicken katsu at Wagamama's is quite surprisingly and shockingly high. But a charity beat have sort of done a survey, I think of 2,000, was it, people? And they found that 8 in 10 people with experience of an eating disorder, so 8 in 10, that's a lot, 80% of people with an eating disorder said that calories on menus negatively affected their recovery. The poll marks a year since businesses with 250 or more employees, including cafes, restaurants and takeaways, have been required to display the calorie information of non-pre-packed food. It's believed that this will tackle obesity. So what do you think? Gloria Chesham, going out for a meal as a treat, I'd rather not know and just enjoy it. I think there is a concern, isn't there, about restrictive eating? I mean, if I look through a menu, if I'm honest, I never look at the calories. I kind of think, oh, I'll go for what I fancy today. But I'm just doing a little bit of a sort of, not Atkins, but I'm doing a little sort of Atkins light. So I would, well, and also calories don't really count. I mean, Nadia often says this thing that calories in an avocado, which might be high, are not like calories in a packet of chicken flavoured crisps. Why don't chicken flavoured crisps have a good calorie content? Why is it all the kind of indulgent food that isn't low calories? Why is that? Daniel Abitten, it's not good when food comes down to numbers. interestingly. Nix, I get it adversely affects people with disorders, but it may help many more watch their eating problem. Very true. I mean, I suppose you could argue with an eating disorder, the eating disorder hasn't been caused by this, and you could argue that the lion's share of people who could be helped to reduce their calorie intake outweighs the issue with people with eating disorders. Do you know what I mean? I mean, because you could also argue that someone with eating disorders, the constant promotion and advertising of fast food and also of Deliveroo and Just Eat and all this kind of stuff is more damaging than necessarily issuing what the calories are. Ellery Jones, I suffer from IBS, so I do need to look at what's in my food. May Boo, eat it standing up and then it doesn't count. Nanny Di said, on anorexic wards and things like that, because if you're cold, you use more energy, you can lose more calories. I mean, right down to the fact that, like, when we were obviously training for and up in the Arctic, a lot of us lost some bone density even. You go down fast because you're shaking and shivering and your body sort of goes into sort of emergency mode. So yeah, anorexics actually know that there's, a tactic, if you like, to be cold, because it also helps. Minky Moo, it's no different than having them on packaging. Interesting, but on a packaging, you have to kind of really hunt for it, don't you? I mean, you find the weight, then you have to really sort of interrogate it. Whereas on a menu, it's just there, plonked right next to it. It also creates a lot of guilt around food, which I tell you what I think could end up happening is for compulsive eating, it could make you not eat at those venues and seek out the food elsewhere. Reese, how many layers did you need, Mark? It's really curious, Reese, it's just quickly about the Arctic. We had to wear, we had sort of long johns, we had sort of anti-wind, probably about 4 layers. But then we had this guy, I remember me and Ross, my sound recordist, we had this guy pre-warn us, we called him the Arctic Ninja, because he had long hair and he ran around a lot. And he was cross because we filmed a polar bear, because it could have killed us. And he said, when you're on the ice, you mustn't sweat. God, I was petrified. Because you're exerting yourself and you've got a lot of stuff on. And of course, I started to sweat down my back because he said it turns to ice really quickly. So we had about 4, it was very kind of thick, sort of feathered, downy stuff. And I had Eskimo gloves. I'll bring out my Eskimo gloves one time. Sorry, I shouldn't call them Eskimo. I will bring out my Inuit gloves. Inuit guide gave me his sealskin gloves. In chain stores like McDonald's or Burger King, I think it's a good idea, says Faith, but not in a restaurant that makes their own food. Ugh. I wonder what the calorie content of coffee is. Did you know coffee is one of your 5 a day? Didn't know that. Prince Andrew would be okay then. Yeah, they have them on, for example, one of my favorite things in a Pizza Express, mentioned this yesterday, and Dina had a complete sort of breakdown. Carbonara on a pizza. Now, the calories on that, I think, are something like 1,000, which is almost half of your daily intake. I'm meeting with a couple of actors tonight, and we're going to a place which does sort of kebab, kind of Turkish kind of kebab food. And they have the calorie content there, so I'll be just eating chicken. Rather than bread. I mean, oh my God, bread. Ellery Jones, you're just doing a vomiting. What is that It's not literally a carbonara dumped on top of a pizza. It's that sort of creamy bechamel sauce with, what else is in a carbonara? Sort of ham, garlic. Oh, now I'm hungry. It's a personal choice. But yeah, okay, calorie. I think, yes, for some it can, but I think no more than just advertising, etc. That's what I think. We're going to get to Easter eggs in a minute, but I just wanted to share this. I thought this was a really good thing. At Waterloo Station, is this today that this is happening? Yeah, today. Passengers at the UK's busiest railway station are going to be offered a virtual reality, I guess, goggles, to experience to help them recognise when sexual harassment is happening to other people. Train companies and the British Transport Police are wanting to sort of show the subtle ways in which. So what I presume what they're going to do is you're going to put these goggles on. You're going to see a sort of crowded Waterloo, concourse where everyone's waiting for the trains, or platform. But I wonder if they do it on train. They should do it on a train too. And they're going to have, it's a little bit like, those health and safety kind of courses you had to do where you had to sit in front of a computer. You have to do them at all the broadcasters. And then they show you a shot and you have to circle all the moments. Like, there's a lead hanging in a sink. So you put a circle around it. It's pretty obvious. But then you have to find all the difficult ones. This will show you moments of sexual assault, because the belief by the train companies and British Transport Police is not that they won't try and attend to it, but that members of the public, a bit like a citizen's arrest, could intervene first. And I wanted to ask you the question. I think this is a good idea, because I know from all the women I know that sexual assault on trains happens by stealth. People pushing against, people standing too close, even women sitting in chairs and men sort of hovering over them, holding on to things a bit too heavily, if you know what I mean, a bit too in their face. And so I think this is a really good idea. And so it will show commuters and people traveling on the trains what sort of things to look out for. It'd be interesting to know whether they include things like, because one of the main things that men use to kind of assault visually women is they have porn on their phones, and they sort of think they get a kick from looking at it and all this kind of stuff. Faith, exactly, it's very, very subtle. But I wanted to ask, if you saw someone on a train and something was, a man was you felt the man, you sensed that the man was too close to a woman, and even that she perhaps didn't at this point notice, would you say something? It's one of those, should we do a poll? Would you intervene if you suspected someone of being too, sexual with another passenger? It's one of those things of kind of have a go heroes, isn't it? It's one of those things, it is a tough question, Trina. What if you were wrong? What if it was a crowded, train? I mean, is there a way that you could say to that person, excuse me, I'm sure this is entirely innocent, but I think you're standing too close to this woman. Pixie Petal Jenny, I would be watching like a hawk. Yeah, it's that curious thing as well. As a father, sometimes I'll get on a train, and sometimes you'll sense the vulnerability of someone. Now, of course, as a grown man, you can't go and plonk yourself nearby and sort of think, I am their guardian angel, because they'll think you're the bloody weirdo. But I do, when I get on a train, do a sort of survey of who's on there. And if I sense something, youths get on. We know someone the other day who was surrounded by about 20 youths, and then they insist, they take your phone and they ask for snap contact, your snap handle, all that kind of stuff. Dawn Decker, I'd probably try and engage her in conversation to divert his attentions if I felt she was uncomfortable. That's a good idea, because by engaging her in conversation, it might just give him a bit of a shock. Good strategy. Trina Cotton, I can't answer. I'd have to be in the situation. I haven't been on a train in 3 years. Edward Bevington, vigilance, not persecution. It's a strong statement. How, in terms of implementing vigilance and not persecution, how would you do that? Faith Goodman, pretend you know the woman, say hello, did not expect to see you today. That's a good point. I've always said to the girls, I remember Fleur was approached by someone at Leicester Square, and I've always said to them, you always kind of, always respond with that. I'm just going to meet my father and he's around the corner. And it worked a couple of times, they skid off. Reese, as a man and having a good moral compass, you would potentially want to intervene, but then if the man in question reacts aggressively or violently, you could get into a physical altercation. It's hard. And there are certain parts of London where, for a fact, you intervene, you really run the risk of being stabbed. And that dilemma is so difficult. The last time I was in that awkwardness it wasn't actually with a woman, but a friend of mine who runs one of the shops around here was being so angrily abused verbally by someone who was clearly off his tits on something. And all I could manage to do was stay at the counter for longer and engage the guy behind the counter in conversation for longer. But there was a point where I turned around and flashed this guy a look, and he immediately tried to engage with me, like, what's the problem, what's the problem? It's just, and I sort of just had to kind of go, look, guys, just, you know, this is my friend, just be nice. And then, of course, he started shouting. It's really hard. It's really hard. Renai Rolf, as above, would speak to intended victim. You never know what anyone could be carrying on them, so wouldn't approach suspect. Yeah, interesting. Andrew Crash, back of the class. Back of the class. Edward Bevington, I'd make excuse to stand near myself, looking at phones, slowly bump back into them. Oh, sorry, mate. Always ends, no problem. It's quite a good idea. Do unto him as he is doing unto others. Dawn Decker, there's an interesting human behavior called the bystander effect. Well, I think this is, you know, you don't often hear, you know, these organizations, police doing something that I think is quite meaningful. I think this is a clever use of VR, if I'm honest. Okay, so Easter eggs. Easter eggs, we're hitting Easter weekend. It's the Easter holidays. We're going through this. Kids are revising for their GCSEs. Adela Nixon, it is a dilemma, isn't it? So have a look, 66% of you would intervene, a third of you wouldn't. Interesting. Easter eggs. Who likes Easter eggs? And then, if you do like Easter eggs, what's your favourite Easter eggs? The Sun have tested the best Easter eggs for 2023. And they have a list of winners. I mean, I don't know how they define the winners, but they have. Oh my God, Dina is going to be absolutely ecstatic. Why do you think? Let's have a look. What are your favourites? I think me and Kooks are big Galaxy fans. I like a Galaxy. Ferrero Rocher is popular here too. And Gillian. Emma Walsh, Cadbury's, Renee Rolfe, mini eggs. I find mini eggs really annoying. Did you ever go through that? I'll read some more. Did you ever go through that disappointment as a child when I think the first Easter egg I was ever given, and we didn't do many because we didn't really celebrate it. I think they were friends of my nan who brought one around. I thought, oh my God, this is an egg of solid chocolate. Did you feel that? And then you broke into it, and if I'm honest, it was a crushing disappointment. But I think back in those days, you also got something in the egg to almost mitigate against this disappointment. Just on a sidebar, do you remember when Kinder Eggs had metal-worthy, heavy toys in them rather than plastic assemble ones? Anyway, Cadbury's for Anna Charalumbus, the mini egg bar, Renee Rolfe. Oh, Maltesers are the best, Bev Berry. Galaxy, and I have a Bounty one this year. Deborah Lansbury, Bounty. Oh, wow. Ferrero Rocher, egg, hubby and I sharing, Brenda M. Red Tulip, Humpty Dumpty, egg. I miss doing Easter eggs so much. No grandbabies close by. So sad, Donna Little. Oh. Lint chocolate is the best, says Minky Moo. Kira Thompson, they've started putting it in the egg again. Like the days when you'd buy cornflakes and there'd be something to collect. And in tea boxes, there'd be cards. Why don't they do this stuff? Okay, so do you want to know what the Sun has decided the top eggs are? Smarties. I can't stand Smarties. At the top is Lidl's Deluxe Chocolate Marbled Egg. Next is Aldi's Moser Roth Milk Chocolate Egg. Oh, these are the supermarket owns. Oh, right, these are supermarket owns. M&S, Waitrose next, Sainsbury's Milk Chocolate Sticky Toffee. But let's go down to brand Easter eggs. Do you know what the top branded Easter egg is? And I have to say, I am prone to one of these if I see them in a shop. The Kit Kat Chunky Egg. Bike reflectors in cereal boxes, DT. Absolutely right. I used to put them on my BMX. So the Kit Kat Chunky is top. Oh, Green and Black's Organic Dark Chocolate is next. I don't believe that. Third is the Malteser Easter egg. Fourth is the Galaxy Milk Chocolate Indulgence Easter egg. Fifth is the, fifth is the Bounty Easter egg, so that'll make you very happy. Hotel Chocolat, You Crack Me Up egg, gets 9 out of 10. Oh no, sorry, I've gone in the wrong order. The winner is the Cadbury's Cream Egg Easter egg. Is it a giant egg with all that stuff in the middle? That's what I want to know. So sorry, the winner is Cadbury's, second is Lindt, third is Hotel Chocolat, fourth is Bounty, fifth is Galaxy, sixth is Maltesers, seventh is Green and Blacks. Wow. Well, there we go, guys. Those are your Easter eggs. I'm sure we're going to be talking more Easter eggs over the weekend. You've got a No Name Sunday show that's an Easter special, and you've got a Curly Cooks that's an Easter special too. So I'm not going to sing, but I'm going to wish a huge happy birthday to Trina Cotton. I think that was for yesterday. Sue Wood, happy birthday. Anita Berg, happy birthday. Louise Bowers, happy birthday. And Anna Charalumbus, happy birthday. So all you birthday girls and boys, if there are any, have a lovely day. Obviously, it's Good Friday tomorrow. Not entirely sure what's happening tomorrow. I think another Crete vlog is going to be landing incredibly soon, so you can partake of that. Another Home Time will be landing, and a Green-Fingered Hell is en route too. And there will be some gardening being filmed this weekend, for sure.